So when I say metho, that's what Aussies call methylated spirits, which is probably one of the best cleaners around in terms of removing grease and grime off stuff. And even if you need to remove anything that you've inked in with a Sharpie or something that doesn't stay on the surface, to remove that as well. So this is the roll of alkaline resistant. Everyone talks about that. I'm not quite sure why, because once it's concreted, perhaps it melts away. I don't think so though. And we wrap this little baby, big baby, up in this first. Who goes into a craft shop and automatically changes the name to Mosaic Supplies? It casts a whole different thing on your shopping. I was getting some florist wire the other day and saw these florist pins, and I thought these would be great for pinning this stuff to foam, because I don't have a staple gun, and if I did, I'd absolutely freak out using it. I think they might also have heaps of other uses. Let's have a look at how I can use it for this. Ow, just stabbed myself with one. All right, so let's start with Mr. Roly-Poly. This is supposed to be self-adhesive, and of course the big challenge is actually with all tapes is finding the end. So we can pop it in there, and while it says sticky, it's not too bad here. On some things it's almost impossible. And then we just get this little guy and poke it in to hold it. It's also going to add to the strength of the polystyrene. So I'm just going to do one big loop-de-loop all the way around, just to demo. See how much you can see. Just to demo, I've got a line here. This is where the thing is in half. Stick one in the top to hold it in place before we sculpt the end. You can cover this going round and round and round, or straight, whatever it is, to put a layer of this over the polystyrene. So this is for those who want to do the mesh and cement-based adhesive. We sort of shorten to CBA because there's only so many times you can type cement-based adhesive. Or in the US it's called thinset. And I don't know what it's called in other places. But they're the sort of common names. So pat that all down, make sure it's all good. Right. Cut some little bits into it. Dressmakers know all about this. This is like putting darts in stuff. Fold it down. And my next one, I'm going to do this way. That way I've got a nice strong top to deal with. I'll come back then. I've gone around and popped it in the top there, and now I'm just going to do straight lines down here. One to sort of go on this side, slightly overlapping. Stick your pins in wherever you think you need them. But the really big thing about this stuff is don't overthink it. You can get carried away. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be measured. It's just placed on because it's going to form a skin. So if you've got a bit that seems to hang over a bit like that and you think, oh my God, I'm so silly, I've done something terribly wrong, just trim it off and pin it down. So what this does, apparently, is to give the cement-based adhesive something to stick on, because it doesn't really stick to, and I'm going to test it on one of these little guys. Apparently, that sort of adhesive doesn't stick to polystyrene. We'll just see how bad that actually is. Now here I haven't stretched it over, so I can put some extra pins around the bottom just to secure it, and then I'll feel really confident. So if it gets bumped or knocked over, see, even this stuff doesn't want to stick. If it gets knocked over and split, it's not going to immediately peel away from your polystyrene, because what you really are doing here is forming a skin around this substrate. Right, I'm going to pin all around that, and then I'm going to put it in the cementing queue.